little higher. But when you're up a little higher, your push isn't quite as long. So you have to make up for it with higher tempo. So you're going to skate with higher tempo. And you're going to back off a little bit on how hard you push each time. Yeah? Because you have two variables. You have your power per push on one side, and you have your stroke frequency on the other side. So you have to dial up exactly how hard you have to push each time and how many pushes you take. Yeah. So on the one hand, you can take big, huge, powerful pushes if it's not raining, or you can take little, tiny, quick ones when it is raining. You're going to stand up a little higher, and you're certainly going to use your hips too. Skating is a little bit like dancing. Skating's beautiful. Skating's symmetrical, and all of us tend to have one good side and one less good side, right? My less good side happens to be my left side. What's your less good side? Your left side also. So I noticed that after I come back from a skate, that the wheels on my left skate aren't nearly as worn as the wheels on my right skate. And the reason is because my balance isn't as good on my left skate, so I'm not getting all of my weight into every push. Yeah? Whereas my right side has better balance, and I line it up, and I push better through the bone, and I notice that my wheels are way more worn on that side. So I'm always making an effort to work on my weak side, which is my left side. And you may not see it, but I sure feel it. I feel the weakness on my left side. And even me, who's been skating for 15 years, I still have plenty of things to work on. So this is always a work in progress. That's probably one of the beautiful things about skating, is that it's a constant work in progress. And there's always, you can always hold out the hope for improvement. That's definitely the beautiful thing about skating. So I want to help you guys with your questions about how best to run this marathon. I know from experience that I always start way too fast. Way too fast. Because you start, your adrenaline's pumping. You pull up the line, you're all excited and ready to go. And then, after about 2 or 3 minutes, you realize, oh my gosh, I started too fast. And then everybody starts flying by you. You know the feeling? I know the feeling. It's happened to me before. My first race in Holland, I stuck with the pack for maybe 2 laps, and then I was off the back. Totally off the back. So, how about turns? It's really important to know how to take a turn, especially if it's a sharp turn. A sharp turn. You know, one race in Holland, I fell 3 times in the same turn. It happened to be wet, but I didn't know how to take the turn. And the 3rd time I fell, I ended up in the lap of a woman sitting in a wheelchair. I literally ended up in her lap. And you know what she did? She took me and she pushed me out of the wheelchair, and she said, "Kom op, ga maar door." She said, "Get up, go, chase him down." So in that turn, which I fell in 3 times, if it weren't for the crowd, I can guarantee you I would not have completed the race. But in Holland, it's beautiful because they don't care if you're in 1st place. They don't care if you're in last place. They're going to cheer for you either way. Especially if you're in last place, they're going to cheer for you. And they lean over the sides of the race course and they bang on these metal boards. They go bump, 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 bump. And there's nothing like that kind of encouragement to keep you going. Just when you think you can't go anymore, they're leaning over those boards and they're going whoop, 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 whoop. So that turn that I fell in 3 times, I realized later that I could have taken it differently. So here's how you're going to take a turn, especially if it's a sharp one and you're going to take it with a lot of speed. You know the feeling probably of getting pulled out of the turn, right? You know that feeling? That's called centrifugal force, pulling you out of the turn. You have to do everything in your power to counteract that centrifugal force. And the #1 way to counteract centrifugal force is to, rather than twist into the turn in anticipation, which so many people do. Look at, if I'm taking a left turn and I'm twisting into the turn, then you can see that my hip actually gets pulled out of the turn. It gets pulled out of the turn, and that's exactly not what you want to do when you're going around a turn. You want to get as much real estate as you can to the inside of the turn, as much of your body. You want to hang it to the inside of the turn. because that'll counteract the centrifugal force that's pulling you out of the turn. So, what you want to do, it's a little bit counterintuitive. Hi Kenji, hi Yuki. What you want to do when you're going into that turn is you actually want to, with your upper body, twist out of the turn. And when I twist my upper body out of the turn, look at my hip goes right into the turn. And this is good. This is good. So tomorrow, if you see that you're coming up on a very sharp turn, I don't want you to twist into the turn with your upper body, because that'll get your hip out of the turn. I want you to pretend like there's a huge crowd to the outside of the turn, just like this huge crowd right here. And as you're going around the turn, you pretend like you're saluting the crowd, and you're saying, thank you for cheering me on. Thank you for cheering me on. Thank you for cheering me on. That's called saluting the crowd. You can also think about it as grabbing your opposite love handle. Everybody know what a love handle is? Everybody got a love handle? So pretend like you're going around a left turn. Now everybody can take their left arm and grab their right love handle as they're going around that left turn. And that way you're also saluting the crowd, and you're twisting out of the turn with your upper body. And this way you'll be able to hang on to a turn at high speed and not feel like you're getting thrown out of it. So that's one good way to get around the turn without getting pulled out. Yes? So also, if you find yourself going into a turn at high speed and are unsure about whether you're going to be able to hold on to that turn, then it's okay. It's okay to be on all 8, all 10 wheels. This is a good thing, yes? You want as much traction as possible. As much traction as possible. So, remember I said that the natural tendency is for everybody to start off over-eager. You have to be able to treat your race like a fairy tale. A fairy tale has 3 parts to it: a beginning, a middle, and a happy ending. So in order to make your Walt Disney inaugural marathon like a fairy tale, you have to start out easier than you know you're capable of, which is a very difficult thing. It's a little bit like seeing all your Christmas presents underneath the tree and not being able to open them. You have to wait for your parents to wake up, you have to wait for everybody to eat breakfast, all these things. So this is how you have to treat your first part of the race tomorrow, is like it's Christmas and you can't open your presents yet, okay? So you have to start out a little more slowly than you know you're capable of. And then the middle of the race, why then, that's when you can start heating things up a little bit. Yes, you turn on the gas in the oven and you can really start cooking, but you don't want to turn it on too hard because you want to save a little energy for the end. So the last part of your fairy tale, the happy ending, you have to make sure that you have a little more fuel left in the tank so you can really turn it on. And that way, the last part of the race, even though it may be only the last couple miles, you can really finish with a flourish. Because everybody wants to finish with a flourish. You want to look good going over the finish line. And remember, it's really not a question of winning or losing, it's a question of looking good. Seriously, everybody knows this. It's a question of looking good while you're losing. Because it's a very honorable thing as long as you've tried. And I can guarantee you, I may have won a few races in my day, but I have also lost plenty of races. And there have been so many times along the way that I wanted to give up. Just like all of you, I know you have this internal dialogue going in your head sometimes, yeah? And me too. But if you just keep on at it, then you can have the fairy tale finish that you've all been wanting. So let's have a quick review. One of the ways that we found that we can avoid having blisters altogether is by pushing through the bone. So if you make sure that you push through the heel instead of off of your toes, then you will avoid blisters. You're not going to be lifting up your foot inside your skate. And another way we discussed avoiding blisters is to make sure you have proper alignment. Nose, knees, toes alignment, very important, because then you don't collapse and create friction on the inside of your skating boot. Yeah? So another way we said you can finish the race in style and very happy is by sitting in the imaginary air chair. The air chair, by sitting back on your haunches, on your heels, and by rounding out your back and letting your shoulders droop, then you'll never